animals play fight in order to learn fighting, right? So like little lion cubs will play with each other in order to learn how to fight better. So these dogs, they play with us, and the one thing you don't want to do is put your hand where his mouth is. So you want to kind of have that in front of him. There you go, see what I mean? Because if that was your hand there, he would have bit your hand. So people tend to do that. They'll say here, and again, well, I'm going to talk about the training part of this, but the first common sense part is people have the toy here, and when the dog goes to bite, they do this. Well, you see where this is where he's trying to bite. Now, if I take this and move this in place of it, what's he going to bite? Right. So when we take the toy away, we take the toy away. And we can lure and shape a behavior with this by just, oh, wait till that goes by. Plus. By watching him move with it. Goofy. So if I go here, right, and I go here, down, Platz, aus. And if I want him to sit, I can go sits, lure him into it, Platz, lure him into it, stay, lure him into it. Because he's following what's his object of prey, right? Whether that's a treat or a toy, right? So if he knows this is here and he can get it, yep, good. He knows he can get it. He's always fighting for something that triggers his natural instinct. Always, all animals do. You know, we trigger for cash, dogs trigger for food. Lions, same thing, they trigger for food, right? It's real simple to understand. Any questions on that? No? I'm going to put him back in the car for a couple minutes to cool him off, and then I'll bring him back out again.
I got a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that he's been trained for scent detection
yeah.
and drug detection.
Yep. Platz.
How long does their memory last? Like, say if they're not on the job or getting trained with the actual substance, and how long can
there's different.
You need to constantly be.
Well, you want to constantly keep training. Like for example, now his obedience isn't like if I was going to compete, I would take and put a couple months in his obedience to get him back into line. Because what happens is they just get rusty. So like with a scent detection dog, like a narcotics dog or a drug dog, they may false mark or false alert because they're just not used to it. And I'm going to talk about that. And I want to talk about that in the second half of our lecture. But it's really about always, it's like us. If you go to the gym and you work out, you feel good, you look good. After 3 months, you still look okay. You feel a little weak. After about a year, you kind of remember what you look like and hey, what you felt like, but it's not quite there the same. Conditioning the dog to wanting to do what I want him to do is really hard, right? So, because we have to be clear on the communication with the dog on what we want him to do. We have to know exactly what we want. So, for example, people, my clients all the time, will tell their dog, sit, and the dog sits and then lays down, and they don't say anything. Well, you told the dog to sit, not to lay down. Right? I told you guys all to sit, have a seat, and relax. Now, if you guys were all laying on your stomachs with your hands over your heads, sleeping, I would say, no, I told you guys to sit, not lay down, right? Now, I don't care if you lay down, because you're still kind of sitting. But it's really important that your communication with your dog be very clear. And that's what's usually not the case with people. So when we look at the different breeds that are used for different jobs, for examples, like if you look at explosives detection dogs, drug detection dogs, or protection dogs, they're generally along the lines of German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, Dutch Shepherds, or anything like that. Because these dogs have a high sense of drive. Like he's squawking now because he was out and he wants to come back out. That's why he's squawking. He's not squawking because he doesn't want to be in the crate. He's squawking because he wants, if I open that door, he's going to come right back here and grab his tug and want to play. So genetically, drive-wise, he's great for that because he works through anything to get back into doing his job. And if he fails 10, 20, 30 times, for example, if you go to the airport and you see the dogs smelling for drugs, or they're usually smelling for explosives, there's a very low limit of reward on explosives. Drug detection dogs are rewarded much more often. So those dogs will find, if you go through the airport, I guarantee if you go through LAX, you're going to find 10 people who've got, marijuana or cocaine or something like that. You're probably not going to find a person who's got a bomb, right? Or you might, but it's less likely. So what happens is the bomb dogs need what's called, we give them intermittent reward. So we'll give them a fake reward, right? So in other words, if the dog goes and sniffs and sniffs and sniffs and sniffs 2,000 suitcases and doesn't find a bomb, at some point he's going to say, I don't want to do this anymore, right? So what they'll do is they'll put a person in there with a fake bomb, a fake explosive, and they'll mark on it. Because what happens after they mark on the item, they get what? They get a reward. And they're working for a reward. So if they're not getting the rewards, they're going to start to shut down. So we give them fake rewards. So if he's out there, like you see, every time he does something, after so many things, I did the first few minute demonstration, but then I give him a toy. That's what he's working for. So now if he thinks he's always going to get that toy, now if I put the toy and hide it behind me, he's going to shut down, but I'm leaving it in front of him because he's still in that drive. So the reward of the narcotics or the explosives is not as often as his reward is for getting to play with me or getting his toy. So if he marked on it, he'd get a reward and he'd get to play tug. Yeah?
Yeah, it's real interesting. When I was in Belize studying jaguars, we had a scat detecting dog. So this dog was trained to find the fecal droppings of jaguars, pumas, margays, and ocelots. And he was very good. I mean, he was finding like 14 a day in impossible places. The places where no one would even thought to look, right? But there were some days that we just kind of maybe took him through a trail where there was nothing.
Right.
We worked all day and nothing. But we had one in our backpack.
Right.
Because then after doing so much work, we're like, all right, here's one, a fake one, and then he'll find it, and then we'll play with him and I guess reward him. I guess to keep him motivated.
You have to keep him motivated, because it's just like us. If there's no reward inside, now humans, we can talk to it. I can say, oh, come on, just do a little bit more, and you can work through it. Dogs don't have that ability. They need the reward. And when we train a dog in the beginning, if I put him next to me and I hold a toy or a treat and I say foos or heel, and I take one step, I'm going to pay him. Then I'm going to take 5 steps and I'm going to pay him. Then I'm going to take 10 steps and I'm going to pay him. And then at the end, he's going to get paid at the end. Like if I can do the whole demonstration or whole obedience routine, then he gets paid. But he has to know that there is a reward or a consequence. Now, on the flip side, some of the older school trainers, which I'm against on this side, is they would use all consequence. So they would tell the dog to look and heel, and if he didn't, they just corrected the dog really hard. So the dog knew that punishment was coming for not performing a behavior, so the dog would perform the behavior in a very haphazard method, right? So he would kind of walk like this. Like he knows, as soon as I stop doing this, I'm going to get hit. Instead, if the dog knows I'm going to get rewarded, then he's going to keep the focus. Now, if he doesn't, I can put a consequence in. I can put a negative and give him a correction on a pinch collar or something, very slight, where he'll perk his head up, and when he does, I go, yeah, that's a good boy, and then play with him. So I can use a negative to bring about a positive, and then take that positive and bring it to a reward.